Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. This is going to be another one of those late night things that I do because this is literally the only time I will have to record for the next week, probably, most likely. So we are here doing a late night thing once again for the second round of playoffs for CDL. These are the semifinalists, so the winners will be moving on to the finale, which will hopefully be done live on the server, which will be linked in the description if you want to be there live instead of watching it after the fact, which is still in question to happen. Actually, there's a lot of things. Family flew in, so there's a lot of things in question about that, of whether or not that can actually happen, unfortunately. But these are the matchups for the second round of playoffs. We have the Santa Clara Valleys and Noct facing off against the Miami Mimikyus and Shark, and then Yook and the Dragonites versus Viperio and the Forest Green Snovers. I believe, I know for sure the Santa Clara Valleys and the Mimikyus were in the same game of the week together, so this is the second time you'll see them show down against each other. Which is the first match. So jumping into the first matchup, it is the Santa Clara Valleys Heatran, Togekiss, Superior, Toxapex, Garchomp, Rampardos, Orbital, Honchkrow, Machamp, Licky, Rotom Frost, Wobbuffet versus the Mimikyus, Tornadus T, Megalop, Glowking, Slurpuff, Swampert, Arcanine, Copperajah, Grookey, Gogoat, Hydreigon. The last matchup is definitely going to come into play. Knocked one off of in the it was the underwater field, so he won off of the Seed Machamp subset with Bulk Up, which is of course no longer an option in this field because it's not going to be the same effect. Right away though, Tornadus Therian is looking pretty darn good against the opponent. It's always good, pretty much in every game. It has access to Icy Wind and a few other tricks that it can use, like Superpower to hit Licky and Heatran, along with just General Hurricane, which will be doing quite a bit of damage to pretty much everything that wants to switch in. It has the Toxapex switch in potentially, but after a Nasty Plot, it could even carry extra sensory or anything like that, so it's a pretty tough thing to deal with. Mega Lopunny is also hard to switch into. It can carry Triple Axle for the Togekiss. It can carry potential, like, I don't know, what's that move? Like you got this sub Power Up Punch, Thunder Punch type of deal to take on the Toxapex if you wanted to. Orbital gets, smacked up by returns, so which is of course allowed. So yeah, it's a pretty rough matchup. Mach Punch is definitely very good for Noct here with Machamp. Being able to carry Mach Punch to just force out Lopunny after a certain percentage is good. Physically defensive Toxapex is of course always solid if he doesn't want to run Thunder Punch or wants to just try to play around the return doing the 30-something% damage. Glowking is also pretty good defensively. It's potentially it's very liable to getting trap spammed if it's something like the Assault Vest set to take on Heatran, AV. It can also carry Earthquake though, or Stomping Tantrum, so it's not too big of a deal if it's AV. Tran is just a potential problem for that thing. Swampert is also pretty good this game against Heatran specifically because Tran overall isn't amazing, but it's pretty good. It can be useful. Hydreigon can also be some sort of lure set to take on Licky potentially. I've seen that before where you run just like Life Orb, Dark Pulse, and hit him with Superpower on the way in or after he's lured in. So yeah, this is definitely an interesting matchup. Very excited to see how it plays out. We have only Noct's team because Adrian didn't send in his team, and I wasn't waiting any longer because this is one of the only few times I'll be able to do what I need to do to record this. So we have a Rocky Helmet physically defensive Toxapex. This is obviously to take on the Lopunny. It fishes for potential triple axle, along with just generally getting chip off of U-turn or just return in general on the Lopunny, which is really good. Skull Toxic or Hover Haze, very basic set, physically defensive Impish. It's very simple. Prism Scale Machamp is going to be carrying Prism Scale 2 times in a row for this matchup, which is pretty good. It's adamant nature, just very offensive with CC, knockoff, Stone Edge, Bullet Punch, a little bit of speed to outpace something, Rampardos is here once again with the Adamant Nature, Rock Slide, Iron Head, Superpower, Rock Polish, which is potential sweeper set at the end of the game. Heatran is my personal favorite set, being Power Herb, Flame Body, Sub Heatwave, Solar Power, and Nature Power. Custat Berry is going to be on the Wobbuffet here with Shadow Tag, actually mixed offensive, Careful Nature with Counter Mirror Coat, Encore, Destiny Bond. Togekiss is going to be holding the Viperio Berry. It's also going to be physically defensive, running a little bit of speed, which is pretty cool. Obviously, potentially to catch something off guard here. This is a pretty interesting team. I'm not seeing too much attention to the Togekiss. I'm so sorry there, I yawned. I'm not seeing as much potential or attention to the Togekiss as I thought, but it is what it is. Wobbuffet is obviously threatening it. Of course, U-turn is obviously just right there, but of course counter will be blowing something up. Togekiss also potentially can deal with it. I'm not sure what the percentage is. After a Nasty Plot though, definitely not. So let's go ahead and jump into the battle. And here we are. Okay, so as you can see, we already went over Noct's team. Adrian has brought the Hydreigon, the what do you call it? Swampert, the Glow King, the Megalop, the Tornadus Therian, and the Slurpuff. So Slurpuff, potentially holding the Prism Scale. It is his favorite mon to put the Prism Scale on. We've seen it like a million times, I'm pretty sure. The good lead, I think, pretty safe lead right off the bat is going to be potential U-turn Lopunny. And I think his best play is just to double out, or I guess you could fish for Rocky Helmet. I think you're expecting Rocky Helmet at this point though, honestly, on something. Possible lead for Noct is, I think that Rampardos is pretty safe actually, I'm not gonna lie to you. But realistically, he's probably looking to get up rocks early is something that could be very good for Adrian, especially if he is carrying knockoff on the Tornadus Therian to possibly knock off the Togekiss Boots, since its Spadef is pretty darn good. Yeah, Spadef Togekiss could be the answer for the Tornadus Therian. So there's a few good leads here. Right off the way, there's going to be a little bit of a seizure with the fields. I have no idea what's going on, and Togekiss is going to lead from Knockball. Slurpuff leads from Adrian. So quick switch right away. Rampardos is going to come in on the Glow King, which is pretty cool. Back out into Wobbuffet on the Earthquake. So this Glow King should be carrying that item that lets it switch out, but it's of course not. So it's going to be trapped into Encore, which is pretty interesting. I'm almost 100% sure you bring. This is a very valuable mon. I think Assault Vest is too risky. I think that the Shed Shell is obviously a better play, but it is what it is. He's trapped here, which is really good for Noct because that means potential, or actually from Adrian's point of view, that means potential offensive Togekiss is a big problem. And then, of course, Heatran is a big problem because Heatran after Perk goes down is a big problem. And even bigger, Machamp could be a bigger problem if this is like, Dark Berry or something, but we don't have his team. Lopunny comes in and forces that out with U-turn, or actually Frustration, and Pex is going to be taking 40% as Rocky Helmet is revealed. This is really cool here. Great bring by Adrian as he switches in the Scale Swampert, which poisons. It's basically like corrosion. So it applies like corrosion, poison, or toxic to both sides. So Swampert is toxic, but so is Toxapex, which means Pex, which is his primary switch into the Lopunny, I assume, is now indefinitely on a timer, which is really cool because that doesn't happen much. So he's going to switch out here, go back into Wobbuffet on the rocks, which really sucks. So Swampert is out. Pex comes back out here on the flip turn just to get some chip off, and then I am assuming to reset the regenerator. Tornadus Therian comes in, threatens a Nasty Plot as Noct goes out to Wobbuffet to potentially sack and force it to attack after one boost. Custberry comes out here on the Destiny Bond, which sucks because Refresh is going to come, and that means that Skipper is obviously no longer toxic, which is just a great bring. He's encored into the Refresh, which really sucks for Adrian because now he's going to have to hard switch out from Heatran, but I believe that Swampert is his primary check. So Hydreigon comes out here because it can take pretty much one of anything. Threatens Earth Power and Super Power here. Earth Power is revealed on the Tran. Tran goes ahead and Heat Waves, fishing for a burn, I believe. So that it is what it is. Tornadoes comes in here because it can eat any one hit and switch out with the generator. Kiss comes out and reveals that it is not indeed the boots, and Wobbuffet is sacked off here for a clean switch. So Adrian reveals that it is Hurricane and not set up just quite yet. Rampardos is still here, can do whatever it wants. Puff comes in to switch into Rampardos and takes 48%, which is pretty darn bad, especially considering Ironhead comes in and just finishes off the kill. Rampardos is still a massive threat here, so Swampert comes out here to potentially bring it down to Sash as Machamp comes in, and the Toxic is reactivated, which really sucks because this thing is obviously carrying Refresh, so it's kind of the worst mon to get Toxic, really. CC comes out here and just claims the kill. There's really nothing to switch into except for that really healthy Tornado Styrian. Not sure why that got sacked. I think he was probably thinking that Swampert was toxic, so there was no deal, but no reason why to save it. But it could potentially heal on Pex, Tran, and Kiss, although it could be pretty low, so he just opts to sack it there. Therian switches in here and threatens out this thing with the Hurricane, but Bullet Punch is going to claim 28% first. Manages to hit the Hurricane, which is really cool. And now Noct is obviously in a very convincing lead here with Rampardos being able just to come in and force a kill. So he's going to go ahead and sack Lopunny, or not sack Lopunny, but Lopunny is going to get hit big here, and then Pex is going to come back out to do a little bit more damage with that Rocky Helmet and pretty much ensure that this Lopunny is 150% dead. So this Lopunny is dead for sure. It's going to go out taking one last swing at Pex, which is an interesting move. He had one last hit. I think if he played around it better, it could have been more useful, but it is what it is. Pex is going to heal back up to 50%, and now needs to kind of switch out right away before things get bad. He still has that Rampardos crest attack, so there's pretty much no risk here to Noct. He's very comfortably in the lead. Adrian's going to miss Hurricane, which really sucks, but eventually does hit it to take out the Toxapex. He's really lucky that he didn't opt for Toxic there, because that would have been kind of annoying. Pardos comes back in here, is going to force a kill once again, and Focus Mask is going to come out and hit, but of course Rampardos crest procs is 30, so Wrath is going to be automatically uninstalled here, as Rampardos is going to pick up one more kill of the season, and then Hydreigon comes out here to revenge the Rampardos, but of course cannot 1v1 the Togekiss, especially now that it's carrying Viperio, which means Flash Cannon will not kill no matter what unless it's a crit, which he reveals he's not even carrying. So Dark Pulse is going to go ahead and do a little bit of damage, but Dazzle Gleam is going to take the kill. And that is the first game of the second round of playoff semifinals, which means one of the finalists is going to be Nocturne, the head of fields of the draft, and currently undefeated in this league, both in the regular and of course in the postseason. So yeah, best of luck to Noct. Good game to Adrian. Finishes out 2-0, pretty darn close. That was just a rough game after the Rampardos. Not being able to play around the Rampardos was really annoying. So moving on to the next game, which is this match. So the Dragonites versus the Forest Green Snovers. As you can see, we kind of went over both teams, but they both have like a certain style. So the Dragonites here have this really cool sand type of team, sand supported team here with Mega Tyranitar, Escadrille. Not too much of the team is dedicated to sand, but having Clefable and Metagross both on there is pretty darn helpful. And then of course for the the Forest Green Snovers, they have this really cool terrain team with Koko Thwacky, potential double terrain here with Alolan Raichu, and Mega Blastoise taking advantage of both the terrains. Actually, well obviously Raichu doesn't take advantage of both terrains, but Mega Blastoise certainly does with the Terrain Pulse move. Castform can be any type of weather it desires, which means we could potentially see a Sand Rush Castform this game, since actually potential Weather War. There's going to possibly be a Weather War type of situation here, which is really cool to look at. Cobalion, right off the bat, I noticed that Cobalion is pretty darn useless this game. Actually, it's not horrible, but it's very not good. I wouldn't expect Cobalion to come this game. The only reason I looked at it first is because of Rock's options and momentum, but the Dragonites could be, sorry, I yawned again. Dragonites could have something up their sleeve. Another thing is physically defensive Mega Blastoise, with of course the moves just to take out its opponents. Is the music too loud? 1 second. Let me turn down a little bit. I can't tell if the music's too loud or not. If it's a little soft, I don't mind that, but if it's too loud, that's no bueno. Mega Blastoise is pretty darn good this game. It can carry Dark Pulse. It can carry, obviously, Flash Cannon. Not Flash Cannon. I'm stupid. Water Pulse, which hits the Tyranitar and Excadrill, especially if it's a variant of physically defensive. He's worried about Thunder Punch or Metagross after a certain percentage, of course, obviously, but other than that, Dark Pulse will be taking quite a chunk of its health. Terrain Pulse with the Tapu Koko is really good against the Mantine, as considering it's 4 times effective Terrain Pulse. But Mantine could potentially just not come this game, as is potentially afraid of just the electric presence on the team, especially with Viperio potentially bringing just like Banded, Stone Edge or something, because Banded, Stone Edge, and Ice Punch looks really good against the Dragonite's team. Another potential good threat is the what am I saying here? Another potential good threat is the I yawned again. Is the Beware? I'm sorry, I'm not sure what I'm talking about. The Beware looks pretty darn good this game, especially if it's some sort of physically defensive set. I'm not sure what fighting moves, fighting coverage. I'm assuming it gets like, you know, something stupid like superpower, but the Beware with fluffy physically defensive could be nice to take on the Viperio potentially and force it out. Viperio is actually a pretty darn big problem. I can see like Appletun running, but it carries Ice Punch, so yeah, I think playing around Viperio is going to be a bit of a problem. It's just very strong. Blacephalon is pretty good. Blacephalon can pretty much hit anything into a KO, which is pretty darn interesting to see how we play around that. Raichu Lola in the terrain will obviously outspeed, and Castorm, depending on its typing, will obviously outspeed. So let's look at this team. So once again, we only have one team to look at because Yook didn't send his in, which is fine. As you can see, this is the team that Viperio brought here. So Landorus is going to be a offensive variant with Rock Polish with Lychee Berry. Jolly offensive, physically offensive, which is interesting. Carrying Sand Force, which means he's planning, I believe, on taking advantage of his opponent's sand, which is very creative. The upgrade cast form is going to be another ice variant. He's brought the ice variant more than any variant this season, which is something I think that opponents can take into consideration, especially considering that some sort of offensive bullet punching, steel guy is on the other side of the field. Viperio is going to be holding a Pasto Berry, which is, I believe, like the water reduction berry or something. Earthquake, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, Stealth Rock, so pretty basic set, kind of like what I said. Thunder Punch is obviously to hit the stupid Mantine, and yeah, it's just there to hit Mantine. Blastoise is physically actually just HP bulky offensive with Water Pulse, Rapid and Toxic Flip Turn. Focus Sash Chandelure is also here with Shadow Ball, Flamethrower, Clear Spot, Toxic, and then Overgrowth Wacky, Adamant with the Violite. So interesting team here, not exactly what I expected, but it is what it is. This is definitely a good team that can bring the heat if it's under the right circumstances. I think this team specifically would have a hard time with Agility Metagross, since it will not even need a boost at some point after the Sash is broken, of course. Obviously, we'd have to play around preserving Sash, but potential rocks with Tyranitar and Excadrill makes it pretty difficult. But yeah, after some chip, I can see like some sort of, like a Bullet Punch, Thunder Punch, Earthquake, or Bullet Punch, Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, Agility, type of situation from the Metagross being a huge problem for this team. Looking at the battle right away, you can see Viperio brought his team that we talked about, obviously, and then Yook has his Venomoth, Excadrill, Metagross, Blacephalon, Appletun, Clefable. So we don't see the Hail Setter, or the Sand Setter, which is pretty interesting. I believe that is just him forfeiting the Hail War to his opponent, which is a pretty interesting bring. I actually agree with this bring. I'm assuming he's carrying high horsepower because Tyranitar is easily revenged by the Thwackey, and switching into Thwackey is, albeit it's a little issue. It's a minor issue here for this team because Clefable will allow in the special attackers like Chandelure to just get a free hit off, and yeah, the less opportunity Swaki has to kill something, the better. Venomoth with potential Giga Drain here is a massive problem after Hail is gone. And potentially after this guy is gone here. Assuming this Excadrill is some sort of offensive variant, potentially carrying rocks here. He has 3 rock setters that are completely viable in this situation. So Drill could be a lot of things. It could be rock support. It could be offensive with high horsepower. It could be, just a ton of things. It could be toxic. There's a lot of things that it could be. Metagross, I said it before, I'll say it again. Offensive looks very strong here with Ice Punch, Earthquake, Thunder Punch, some sort of situation like that. It doesn't even potentially need... It doesn't even... Actually, it does need the... I'm stupid. I was going to say potentially, but I'm pretty sure we saw Timid on the team builder from Viperio, so it doesn't even matter. I believe it does need the obvious, stupid agility boost to sweep and the 3 moves coverage, but there's, Thunder Punch... Thunder Punch, Bullet Punch. Actually, I think he might even be able to outspeed. Actually, it's a speed tied if they're both max after agility. So, either way, offensive Metagross is very strong here. Offensive Clefable is actually something as well that could be a potential problem here. Seeing that this is not a banded Thwacky, so Calm Mind, potentially Calm Mind Iron Defense with stored power is really good, seeing as there's no Dark type. And of course, Blacephalon Shadow Ball completely runs through this team. Shadow Ball is incredible, and there's really not a lot that he can switch into here. So, starting the game right away. I didn't talk about lead matchup, but we're going to see it. Appleton is led against the Blastoise, which is a good lead for Yook. Barring the Toxic, which of course he reveals. So Toxic is going to be trading for about 50% on the Blastoise, which is pretty good for Blacephalon, considering that this is an interesting play. I'm not sure what's going on here. So Blacephalon is now in a great position after this chip damage because its fire move is now kind of like free. It's obviously you can Shadow Ball more, but this is just a good position to be in for the Blacephalon. Everything is a good position to be in. So to switch in Blacephalon right away on the potential flip turn is pretty risky. So flip turn comes out here and brings Blacephalon down to 12. That was a really interesting play. I'm not sure why that happened. I think that was an over prediction. I'm trying to figure out what he was thinking. I think he's predicting Chandelure or Thwacky, because there's no other reason you make that play. Blastoise revealed it was faster, so it's obviously going first. I think Toxic was pretty free there. I think he's predicting the Chandelure or Thwacky. There's no other reason for him to make the play. So Castform comes in here, and now this is really bad for Blacephalon because it's low enough to be susceptible to dying to Hail next turn. So now it can't come out at all until Castform is dead and Hail's gone, which really sucks. This invites Metagross in for free though, which absolutely eats a blister, but gets frozen, which really sucks for Yook because this Metagross is his kind of win con. It's carrying leftovers, which is pretty interesting. Gross being frozen is actually super sucky. So yeah, frozen for 2 turns in a row, that's gonna suck. And now he's in a situation where sacking Blacephalon is kind of the safest move at this point. The only way it gets back up to health is if Thwacky sets terrain, and then he's able to recover off terrain if the Hail isn't gone. But other than that, Blacephalon is really useless, which really sucks because it had a pretty darn free game this matchup. Metagross is going to thaw out though, really not lucky, but it is what it is. Iron Defense comes out on the Stealth Rocks, which is really cool. So now the Metagross is at +2, potentially carrying Rest or some sort. His special attackers, ooh, he switches out here. That's actually, I think, a bad play. Yeah, okay, so he switches out. Why? What's the switch out for? But I'm assuming this Metagross is his bet. I think he's okay. Obviously, he's predicting the Chandelure. Oh, you know what I think is happening? I think he predicted Chandelure to come in on Body Press, which is why he goes Drill. I think that's what happened. Either way, it's the wrong. It obviously doesn't result great for Yook here, as Drill comes in here and is going to get obliterated by an Earthquake. I want to see the calc. I'm sorry, I know like no one cares about this, but I want to see the calc. So assuming your Metagross with some sort of HP investment, Viperio is your Stealth Rock, carrying max Adamant. Earthquake is doing, if you're +2, not even doing 50% with 0 defense investment. It's gotta be some sort of bold variant. So assuming you're like bold, or impish, max leftovers, which is not gonna be max, but yeah, Earthquake is not doing very much. It's got a 0.3 chance to 2-hit KO, which I guess is kind of fair. You don't want to stay in on that and lose your potential win con, but I think if Gross is as long as Gross is alive with the leftovers still intact, +4, I don't know, I'm not sure. As long as Gross is alive, I think it's okay. I think getting rid of this Viperio is way bigger because you've lost your Blacephalon. I'm not sure, I'm analyzing this game too much, but either way, Drill goes down here. It's obviously a prediction that didn't go well. It is what it is. Metagross comes in here. I think he's expecting Viperio to play more defensively, I think is what happened. Either way, Metagross comes in here, reveals Grass Knot, which leaves Viperio on 1 HP, which really sucks. Because now Metagross is indefinitely dead to Hail and Rocks. So that actually super sucks. That sucks. The freeze and that is pretty unlucky as well. Just so we're clear, the freeze and then that 1% roll sucks. Yeah, so the Metagross is definitely carrying Body Press, right? Grass Knot, Ice Punch, R&D Body Press. That's gotta be it. So he predicted the Chandelure to come in on the Body Press. I believe is what happened. So Venomoth comes out here. It's carrying Boots. It should die to 1. Or no, it doesn't die to Blizzard because it's awesome. Let's go Venomoth. Venomoth says Toxic Spikes, which is potentially for Clefable. I'm not sure what it's for. He sacks Blacephalon here, which I think is the best play if he wants to get something in clean. Venomoth potentially has some value it can bring to this team, like walling the Thwacky. Clefable comes out here and is revealing Unaware, which is interesting. I believe that is obviously for Thwacky. Oh wait, is it not revealing Unaware? Am I stupid? No, it reveals Unaware. So it reveals Unaware, which is potentially for... Unaware is for what? Either way, Citrus comes in here and is going to tank that Flamethrower and get the Flash Fire boost, which means Flamethrower is not the play. So Clear Smog comes out here. And the Viperio is very comfortably in the lead, obviously, at this point. It's a pretty hard game to lose, and Yook is just kind of clicking buttons at this point because he's kind of in an unwinnable position at this point. Chandelure is going to Oko with the Flash Fire boost after Rocks and Toxic damage, so there's really no reason to do anything else. Abaton, even if it is Thick Fat, I'm not sure actually. It could be carrying Earthquake, yeah. So Thwacky comes in here and reveals Overgrow. Not Grassy Surge, which is interesting. I think that is a misplay. I think you want, unless this field grants Overgrow a different attack, because I'm pretty sure this is here. I think it's fast then, right? It's got to be fast then. Or, oops. Nope, it's not fast. I'm not sure what this is, what the deal for this thing is. I think that it's supposed to be Grassy Surge. Knockoff on Appleton comes out here after the growth. And then, yeah, 2 knockoffs will kill the Appleton. And then Clefable is just indefinitely dead here. I don't understand. Interesting game. I don't understand a lot. I would need clarification. Viperio, actually, I can just watch his... I'm not sure if it's out yet, but he has a semis video, or he has a YouTube channel, which will be linked in the description, so you can go watch his videos on this. I'm not totally sure what the plan is here, why this is Overgrow. There must be some Flower Garden boost to it, but I'm pretty sure Grassy Surge is just better. because when you're facing against potential Drill and Tyranitar, this is a fine set if it's calced to outspeed Adamant, Max Excadrill, and then Max Jolly Tyranitar. But it's not. If you look at the Pokepace, it has 12 speed, so it's not outpacing, or it's certainly not outpacing any type of Tyranitar that's Jolly. Because I believe the reason, I at least thought the reason this thing would be coming is to stop the Drill and then the Tyranitar combo, which I think is the right play, because Yook obviously took that into account and didn't bring the sand, which I think put Yook at an advantage. I think Yook had the better team this week. He just got lucked, and then he had those 2 over predictions, which kind of cost him the game, because those were his two big ones. So he got lucked and he had 2 over predictions, which is just really unfortunate. You know, it is what it is. Viperio played well though, of course. Obviously, no discredit to him. I'm just saying that I just need to understand. Not that I don't understand this bring. This is a fine bring. I'm not sure what it beats is the thing. It beats the Clefable. It doesn't beat well, it beats Excadrill obviously, but it potentially loses to Tyranitar after some chip, and it doesn't have the priority anymore, or passive recover. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but yeah, that is going to be the semi. So the 2 finalists is going to be Nocturne and Viperio heading into the final week. Keep a lookout for that. Hopefully it will be live. If it's not, I'm very sorry. That is going to be it for this week. Goodbye, God bless, and have a great day.